Hi everyone, I was recently contacted by colouringnotebook.com and asked if I would review one of their colouring notebooks. So this is how it arrived, and I thought defeat bag, and inside you can see it's wrapped in a cellophane, so we'll just peel this away. Let's see what we've got. It's a hardback book with rounded corners in matte black. It has the colouring notebook name embossed on the back here, and there's a wraparound sleeve telling you just what it is. On the back there's various bits of information. This is it contains colouring pages for adults. There are 3 different types of paper apparently: blank, ruled or dot grid. It also gives you the dimensions. This is roughly A5 size, 176 pages, and it claims that there are more than 50 original colouring pages inside. The quality of the paper is classed as archival and acid free, which allows you to use all sorts of mediums. Yeah, so let's have a look and see what's inside. So it has an elastic around. Let's open it up. The wraparound sleeve comes away. That's some pretty stiff cardboard. I guess you could colour in the image that's on the front as well. You could save that, pop that into a scrapbook. It's a decent weight. It's not too heavy. You could easily put this into a bag and carry it around with you. It wouldn't weigh an awful lot in a handbag. So open it up, and I guess you can put your name and address in the first page here. Let's find out what the thickness of the pages are like. They look like they're going to be quite thin. They are. They're quite thin. I wouldn't say they're as thin as some of the Moschenas that I've looked at. They seem a little bit thicker than that. But I'm not sure that these would take very wet media such as paint. This one obviously is the Dot Matrix. What was it called? No, it was a dot grid it was called. So this one has a dot grid. It's very, very faint. You can just about see it naked eye. I'm not sure you're going to be able to see it on camera. Perhaps there you can just see the dots. I guess that's pretty good if you want to do some doodling and drawing of your own. You're not going to have lines in the way. Perhaps a plain one might be better, but then if you want to take notes and you want to make some ruled lines of your own, then you could easily just grab a ruler and you've got the dots there to give you your ruled lines. So let's have a look at some of the images. We have buttons, lots and lots of buttons. We'll quickly flick through. That's one-sided, so you don't have anything on the back, so if your media does bleed through, you're not going to ruin another picture on the other side. There is a landscape picture here of mountains and cable cars. Again, that's single-sided. I have cats in boxes, Oriental Eastern type page, animals. Let's see quickly what else we have. Patterns, an octopus in the sea, and so on. We have cupcakes, more animals. So there's a good variety. It seems to vary between patterns, animals, still lifes of scenes, some very long legs there, and so on. So there's a really good variety there. Colouring notebooks have become very, very popular recently. Obviously you can get the larger colouring books, which are just a colouring book, but this encompasses a notebook as well as a colouring book. And as I say, it's not too heavy. You could easily pop this into your bag, take it out and about with you. There are plenty of blank pages there. Oh, there's a pocket in the back as well, in case you want to add extra notes in there. There are lots and lots of these dot pages, and there's some double dot pages as well. Plenty of space for you to make notes, for you to doodle, for you to do your own drawings, as well as colouring the images that are there. I guess for anyone who doesn't feel confident with their own drawing, who doesn't want to doodle, these images are fantastic. You just pick up, you know, some coloured pencils or whatever, take them with you, put them in your bag, and away you go. You've got something to do if you're killing time waiting. Perhaps you're sat waiting for children to come out of school or from some club that they're at. Perhaps you take your kids swimming and you're sat by the side and you want something to do. This would be ideal just to while away the time colouring in those pages. You could also use it as a medium catalogue. You could try out all your different mediums, one on each page, you know, one for pencils, one for markers, one for inks, and so on. I'm going to try out some wet media in a moment just to see how it does handle that. It seems pretty good. I haven't found it available for sale in the UK, so you do have to order it through the Colouring Notebook website, but they do post all over the world, so that wouldn't be a problem. Yeah, the pages are quite thin, so I'm not quite sure how it's going to handle wet media. So let's have a look. We'll find. Just a note about the images. Some of them are very, very tiny details. So if you've got poor eyesight, some of those might be a little bit difficult to see, some of the very small details. But I guess if you want something to zone out on, you want something just to curl up and chill out on, you might find those small details very, yeah, you know how you get into, you're so concerned with the small details, you really focus, you really zoom in, and that could help you chill out, I guess. But there are lots and lots of small details, so maybe some more pages with bigger images, you know, open spaces to colour in might have been a little bit better. But yeah, I guess if you want something just to chill out, you can get totally absorbed in the details, zoning on them. You know, that would be pretty good. So let's try some media on there and see how it handles it. I'm going to try some Pro markers to start off with. We'll start with a very pale one. Let's just see how it goes. It's a very, very smooth paper, so it's taking these markers incredibly well. There's no pilling up of the paper. It's going on nice and smooth. So that's quite a light colour. Let's see if that's gone through at all. And it has. It's gone right the way through, in fact, and it's marked slightly on the other side as well. So I don't think wet media is going to be the way to go, not with markers at least. We'll try an acrylic paint. Although to be fair, if you're taking this book out and about with you, you're not likely to have paint with you unless you are extremely well prepared. But let's just see if it does take some wet media. Okay. Using acrylic and a brush might get a little fiddly because, as I said, these details are quite small. But then this is only an A5 book, you know. If you want pictures with quite large details, then you are, you know, possibly need to go for a larger book. Okay, it's the acrylics on there. It hasn't bled through at all. You can see a slight shadow of it. I think if you painted that whole page, you would see the shadow of the paint on the next page. It's not terribly neat because the space is quite tight in which to paint. You'd have to use an incredibly small paintbrush, and this is only a small one, but you'd need to use a very fine one, I think. Yeah, there's no way to get that really neat, to be honest. But it's taking the paint okay. This paint is by Paper Artsy, and it's a very quick drying chalk-based paint. So that will be dry in just a moment. If you use a very wet acrylic, lots of water in it, one that takes a longer time to dry, you might find that these pages start to buckle because they are so thin. There's no way of knowing if it's going to buckle with just that little bit. I'd have to paint a full page to find out if it was going to buckle. I can imagine it will buckle slightly because of the weight of the paper. Let's just see, it does say on the back that it's 100 gram. So it's not a very heavy paper at all, but as I said, for a notebook, I think the weight of the paper actually is quite adequate. For a colouring book, maybe you should stick to pencils. So let's just try it with some coloured pencils, see how it goes on. With it being very smooth, there may not be enough tooth for coloured pencils to layer up. It is incredibly smooth. These are Derwent Coloursoft pencils, just because this was the first bag of pencils that I picked up. It's going on okay, but will it layer up? You do need 3 or 4 layers of coloured pencils at least, very thin layers, before you'll see whether they're going to blend and smooth out. I can feel the pencil gliding across the paper, which isn't necessarily a great thing for coloured pencils. You do need a little bit of tooth. It's covering the background of the paper. Okay, there is some of the background showing through. It's not white, it's like an ivory colour, so it is showing through the pencil. It hasn't managed to cover it because there's not enough tooth on the paper to grab the pigment. I'm not going for any kind of shading here, I'm just literally trying to cover that area. And of course these pencils haven't been sharpened, so there's no way of getting into those little tiny points. You would need to have, because these are such detailed pages, you would need to have your pencils pretty well sharpened. Okay, it's starting to cover now. But I can actually feel the pencil starting to, just the wax is just sitting now and not much pigment coming out. So let's see if I have that. I'll take a white and just try and blend these now. It's blending okay. It doesn't, you can see a slight bloom on the surface, it's not too waxy. And there were maybe 4 or 5 layers of pencil very, very quickly popped onto there. It definitely could do, the paper could do with a little bit more tooth, but I don't think it's too bad. So on the whole, I think for pencils, I think that was going to be your best bet for this particular notebook. Wet media, if you are at home and you're able to use a fast drying acrylic, then fine, go for that, but you'd need a very, very small paintbrush. It's definitely not going to work very well with markers. As you can see, that bled right the way through. You can see that spot where it bled right the way through there, and actually, perhaps the camera won't pick it up, but there is a slight smudge here where it did start to come through onto the next page as well. Obviously you could get away with that by putting a spare piece of paper over here. That would stop it hitting that page, but you're still going to have it coming through onto this page, which is going to ruin any writing that you've done on there. So colouring, it's not the best paper, it's definitely not the best colouring book I've seen, but you've got to remember that this isn't just a colouring book, it's actually meant as a multi-purpose book. It's a notepad and a colouring in book. So I think actually for ease of use, to be able to pop it into your bag, to take a handful of pencils with you and have it as a travel notepad colouring book, I think actually it's a really good idea. Maybe if you've only got 10 minutes to go somewhere and you want to just do a little bit of colouring in, you don't have time to stop and actually draw a picture before you start colouring, you want to just get stuck straight into colouring. This is actually it's perfect really. You can open it on any page and there's something there for you to colour in. Again, going back to using it as a catalogue for media, markers it's not going to be great for. You could use it for acrylic if you were at home and you had the time and the patience to use a small brush. We'll use just a small bottle of ink here and see. I've got a feeling this was going to go straight through as well. Okay, we're just going to use a regular ink here. The ink actually goes on really nicely, it flows really well. Seems quite absorbent, so I'm guessing that's going to go straight through. Actually, that's done pretty well. It's slightly buckled the paper just on the spot where I was using the ink. I'm not sure if you can be able to see that. Can you? Oh, you can. You can just see that little wet area has slightly buckled the paper. So over the whole page, if you get the whole page wet, it is going to buckle. If you take your time and just do small areas, you are going to be able to get away with ink, but it is going to wrinkle the back. It hasn't come through colour-wise, but it possibly would make that side not as usable for writing on. You probably could get away with it though. So definitely wet media, it's not friendly for wet media, but it's going to be absolutely fine for pencils. So yeah, as a little travel book, I think it's okay actually. The paper is nice, I've got to say. For writing on, I'm sure it's going to be absolutely fine. Let's just grab a pen. Oh, do you know there's never a pen handy when you want one? Okay. Well, that's quite a thicker page. Let's try writing on a regular page. So I was writing a shopping list. So that wrote out really nicely. Oh, where are we? There we go. It was really smooth, a really smooth write. There was no problem there. It, just to say, can be seen through on the other side. That maybe won't pick up. Maybe in the middle of those buttons there, you can just see some letters. So a full page of writing with a fibre tip pen is possibly going to show through. Try a ballpoint pen. I imagine this will just sit on the surface, so this one should be absolutely fine. So let's see, what do we need on our shopping list? We'll go for bread, eggs, and butter. So again, that was a nice smooth write. That was just a regular Bic pen. Okay, you can't see the ink coming through, but I can feel it. That won't pick up on the camera at all, but I can feel that that page is now slightly embossed where I was writing on it. And again, that comes down to the weight of the paper. It is very thin. So yeah, you're not going to be able to produce amazing pieces of art on this. I kind of feel like I'm doing it an injustice now. I don't mean to. The pages are very thin. You could get away with that, and you could actually stick 2 pages together. Now with Moleskines, that is what I do all the time anyway. Whenever I get one of those, I always stick 2 pages together. I glue them together. You know, you lose a page, but it does mean that you can then use wet media on there. So if these two were glued together, you'd lose that ability to write in there, but you could then use any kind of wet media on this and it wouldn't go through. That would be absolutely fine. That would give you a really good weight, and it wouldn't affect the next picture in here. Plus you would still have another page there to do your notes on. So actually that might be the way that I would go with this book. I might have to stick some of these pages together in order to get the best out of the images and still be able to have a page that I can write on without it coming through to the side. So, and it's a good chunky book, you know, even if you stuck some of those pages together, you're not going to lose an awful lot because there are so many of them. Let's see, it does say on this card here, 176 pages. So you can easily afford to stick some of those together and get the best out of them, and you know, still have plenty of pages left over. So yeah, I'm quite intrigued to use it. I think I'm going to pop it into my uni bag, carry it around with me, take a little bundle of pencils and see how that goes. Yeah, just use it for a little bit of colouring, doodling, passing the time, and obviously I can write lists on those dot pages myself. I can also do some sketches myself. Let's see, we'll just try a regular pencil and we'll just sketch a few shapes. It should have no problem. Taking graphite. Not going to do anything special here. We'll just layer up a little bit of graphite. And this is just a regular HB pencil, it's not anything exciting there at all. Again, it's very smooth that the pencil is gliding across the paper. It could do with a little bit of tooth even for graphite. But this is not meant as a sketchbook, so don't have too many expectations when it comes to how you're going to use this for art. This is meant to be a notebook and a colouring in book, so let's remember what it is actually meant to be, and let's, you know, take it for what it is actually designed for. So okay, that's fine. You can't see that coming through. I guess if I hold it up against a lighter window, no, you can't see it come through. And there's no embossing there. You can't feel where that graphite is on there at all. It's obviously a much lighter touch than when I was using the Biro pen. So that's absolutely had no adverse effect on that side at all. So you could very easily use this as a colouring page for pencils and then do some graphite sketching on the other side with absolutely no problem whatsoever. So yeah, there are definite ways that you can use this little notebook. Yeah, I'm quite intrigued to use it. I say it's not going to be an art book, but then it's not designed as one. It's not going to be somewhere you can use very wet media. Again, it's not designed for that. As a notebook and a colouring book, it actually does the job, but you are limited to the mediums that you can use. You are really going to have to stick to coloured pencils. So yeah, on the whole, I think it's quite nice. It looks pretty nice. It's got a nice cover, nice matte black. It doesn't feel cheap at all. It doesn't feel plasticky. It's pretty good. Nice rounded corners. It's not going to dig into you as you try and grab it out of your bag. It's easily going to be held close with that elastic. Receipts and notes can pop into the back there. That's quite a decent sized envelope at the back there. So yeah, I think that would be quite fun to carry around with you, fun to use, and yeah, I'm not wholly impressed with it because of it not being able to take wet media. But as I say, let's take it for what it is. It is a notebook that you can do colouring in. So I think just basing it on those expectations, I think actually it does pretty well as long as you stick to colour pencils. So there you go, that is the colouring notebook, and you can find that by going to their website, which is www.colouringnotebook.com. I hope you found that interesting. Thanks for watching. Bye now.